Being able to accept your flaws and having the courage to accept something that you can't control is what makes you not only powerful, it makes you unique.
Welcome to the I Empower podcast, where stories become art and art becomes important reminders. Each week, we dive deep into the story of a special person who discovered their power against all odds. But wait, it doesn't stop there. All of the inspiration that comes from each story is then memorialized into a single unique painting that can be purchased in limited print quantities. So if you, my friend, are looking to step out of your own way and into your life's potential and well-deserved happiness, this is the place for you. Let's listen in. So, Chloe, I'm so incredibly excited to have you on today. Yay! I actually found you on TikTok through one of your really interesting posts that you made about your alopecia. Am I saying that right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. And so you just captivated me. And then I went to your page and I started seeing all of these amazing videos that you make, like just empowering yourself. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to meet this girl. I got to find out what her story is. And so, yes, please introduce yourself, Miss Chloe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Bean, and I have had alopecia since 8 years old. And it's been a passion of mine to really try to make others feel accepted of something that we can't control.
Awesome. So you were it's can you tell us about like what alopecia is? Like I googled it I had an idea of what it was, but then I wanted to kind of educate myself a little bit before I talk to you. So I know a little bit. It's a is it considered an autoimmune disorder, or can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, so alopecia is an autoimmune disease, and there are a bunch of different types. Some are more severe than others. I only know a few, but I honestly think there's more than 13. So I the medical term is obviously on the internet, but to me and like to everyone else, like in short, alopecia is an autoimmune disease that causes your immune system to attack your hair follicles, which in other words can cause some baldness, bald spots, complete baldness, but it really matters like the severity of it.
So that started affecting you at the age of 8. What was that like? How did you know that this happened? Did you just like start to notice like thinning of your hair, or like can you explain to me what that was like as a child
Yeah.
going through something like this?
Yeah, so like I said, I was 8 years old, and I remember it was during the time I was in elementary school. So I was in the bathroom with my mom. She would always help me do my hair, put it up, all these fun things. And she was doing my hair. She saw like a tiny round bald spot on the back of my head. But initially, she didn't think anything of it. I remember her telling like my dad about it, and they initially thought that I was pulling out my hair, but over time, like through the next few weeks, she noticed more hair like scattered on my bed, more bald spots. And that was when
Wow.
she was like, we should probably go, to a dermatologist or a doctor and see what's up, because it wasn't as, I don't want to say it wasn't as common, but it wasn't well known back then. Like now there's so many people
Right.
empowering it and like being able to come out, which is incredible.
That is incredible. So, when you were young and like, were there a lot of like doctor's appointments that like were involved? How did that make you feel? I mean, because that's like at the ripe age of like prepubescent teenage girl, and
Yeah.
now you're starting to go through like we go through our normal body changes, and then now you have this that you're having to kind of like combat. Like, what was that like?
I remember that it wasn't as common, right? And the people that I would be around every day at school, they would look at me and they didn't understand. So my parents, they tried really hard to they found a CD, and I would show it to like some of my classes, and like why I had to wear a hat, because I remember hats weren't allowed back in elementary school. You weren't allowed to
Yeah.
wear this and that. And I I had like I didn't have to, but it made me have the courage to like go to school back then. And that's why
Right.
I love wearing hats. But it initially it sucked. It wasn't the best. I remember I would always look at people around me and see all these girls with like such long hair, and I was like, why can't I be like that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's gotta be, like, incredibly, um, difficult at that age to go through things like that. Like I said, we're at that, like, prepubescent area in our life,
Yeah.
and, like, we wanna do and like you said, seeing friends with hairstyles, and then, so did it all fall out, or did you make the decision to remove the rest of it? Like, how does that work for you?
So my back then, all the way since age 16 or 17 was when my first hair like all came out. But growing up since the age of 8 when I was diagnosed, I just have had various bald spots around my head, so patches, and my hair was
Right.
just super fine and thin. I would put it in a ponytail and it was probably like this thick. So, and then it would come back because alopecia, I didn't mention, it's so unpredictable. I could have my hair for years and then see a spike in my hair loss again. Like, so people ask, does it, so many questions like, can you have it again? And like, the answer is like, we don't know.
When you have the patches of missing hair, did you make the decision to just, remove it all completely? Or do you kind of let it do what it's going to do its own thing, and then you just kind of work around that? Like, how is that for you?
Yeah. So November 2nd, 2016, when I was 17, was the day that I finally decided to not hide from it. Um, so back then growing up, I would always find ways to conceal it and hide myself from it. I had my wig. I only had one wig at the time, but I'd wear hats, like I said. So I'd always, it was my biggest insecurity, and I would hide it and not embrace it. Like, so I finally was able to take control of it and not have it control me in high school.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you said, so that was in 2000, that's when you were
16.
17. So you made
Yes.
that
Yeah.
decision. Was there was there like a moment that happened for you where you were just like, "You know what? Like, I'm not going to let this, define me. I am Chloe, and this just happens to be a part of me." And were there any like events that led up to that like aha moment for you, or was it just something you woke up and you're like, "All right, this is it. I'm not going to stress out about it anymore. I'm not gonna, I'm going to
Uh,
embrace this."
yeah. Oh my goodness. There were just so many moments. I mean, there was one main moment that I'll get to, but I mean, like my hair got so bad that I would wake up and not even like looking in the mirror of like who I was. And I think it's harder to see bald spots and hair loss on you than just being completely bald. I think it's very powerful.
Yeah.
But the biggest moments
Yes.
that the moment that I remember was prom. No, it wasn't prom. It was homecoming, right?
All
And I was
right.
getting ready. Nothing was going well. I didn't want to, like, my wig wasn't cooperating with me, and I just, as every teenage girl had a breakdown of, my
Yeah.
appearance. So I just ran to the bathroom. I locked myself in there and I was just crying. And I thought, I'm pretty sure like it all caught up to me. And my best friend, my high school or childhood best friend, was the person who really helped me. Like, listen, like, you're bald, like, embrace it.
That is so powerful. It's amazing to me too that you had that at such a young age, because I know
Yeah.
I'm really excited to have you on because I do I haven't gotten a chance to really talk to anybody about body positivity and body image, and I know that's this huge movement that's kind of going on right
Huge.
now, and we're just trying to encourage other women.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
especially
trying
in
to like encourage
society.
women to just be absolutely, yeah, because I try to explain to this. Have tried to explain this to my husband before. We talk about we as women, have different struggles than men do.
Oh,
We,
yeah.
when you have the media and just, society has expectations of us as women and femininity, and a lot of
I
times
was
that goes along
just
with,
gonna say
we're
that.
for women to just embrace what society says are our flaws, and then we're just like, you know what, they're not, like, it's part of me, I'm just going to embrace it and
Yeah.
like show the world. And then I think it's amazing that you're using your platform to empower yourself and empower others that may be experiencing similar things. You guys don't know this, but or you may know this, that Chloe has a really big following on TikTok. And so, like, how has that been for you, just being able to like use social media? We do talk about on the show a lot how like social media
Yeah.
has good things about it too. I know a lot of people are using, like, especially TikTok as a platform, as like a therapy for them, in a way to just talk about what they have going on in their journey. Like, how is that for you? Do you experience any negativity from that, or is it, do you have a mostly supportive experience sharing on
So,
social media?
yeah, so the reason I started to really use my platform to try to embrace it and help others was because back in high school I used to get bullied for being bald, and or when my hair would grow back, there would just horrible comments. So I recently hit 500K on TikTok, which is amazing. But
Oh my gosh, so awesome.
yeah, so I really haven't gotten negative comments about it. I've gotten one from someone specific from my hometown, but
Oh,
I use my platform to help um, others gain courage to embrace what they can't control, because I receive so many comments or in DMs on my Instagram saying, like, people share their story with me and how they hide from this and that. So it's really good to be able to help others and just be there for them, because it's always good to find, when you're going through something, finding a support group or people like who struggle from the same thing.
absolutely. Yeah. We talk about that all the time on the show, of like finding that community and finding, that your group of people that are just really super supportive. You touched on bullying in school. I wanted to kind of circle back to that to get a little bit more of your experience
Mhm.
with that. Were you bullied by females or males, or was it mainly one and not the other? How was that for you?
Oh, it was definitely both. And I mean, like you mentioned, social media, which is huge. Back in high school, there would be tweets. I no longer have Twitter, but there used to be people from my high school tweeting about me and just comments saying, I did make a video about it. I'm trying to remember what they were, but saying how I'm a transgender when my hair was growing back,
Oh, wow.
or just all these nasty things. But that's why I feel I didn't have the support back then, and it made me really isolate myself at home. So I think that that's why I really do place an emphasis on trying to inspire and empower others.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's great that you are taking, something that is negative and just like turning that on its head and being like, you know what, like, I'm going to not listen to that, and I'm going to empower other people to accept, like you said, the things that you can't change. I think
Yeah.
that's so incredibly important. Um so when when you were in high school, you choose to wear wigs, or was it more so of the ball cap? Because I know a lot of times I think that like wearing wigs is becoming more acceptable with all races
Yeah.
and all like ages and things like that. Like, I remember me. I'm trying to think back of myself in like elementary school or middle school, and I did beauty pageants. So sometimes I would come to school with
Really?
hair. I did, yeah. And so,
No
like, I would
way.
wear yeah. I know a lot of people are like, "What?" But yeah, like, so I had thin hair, and back then we would glue in the tracks, and so I always loved having this, like, extra long beautiful hair, and so, like, I would
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
glue it in, and then I would try to, like, hide the fact that, like, I was doing, even though, like, I did it for
And
myself,
people
but,
knew,
you didn't want
Yeah.
anybody to know. People, yeah, you were, like, trying to hide it, but people
Yeah.
knew, and, like, and you didn't really want them to know. But, like, now that it's more acceptable that, people wear wigs and hair extensions as an accessory. Like, I will wear blue hair
Yeah.
today, I'll wear pink hair tomorrow. And so, like, I love that that's becoming more of a trend and and okay in society's eyes, and like we're
Yeah.
normalizing that. So how was that for you, growing up wearing, wigs? How did you like embrace it and be like, I'm gonna wear curly hair today? Or, were you just trying to like make
Yeah.
yourself feel quote unquote normal?
I mean, I do think wigs can be seen as a tool in society to help us feel accepted and normal. But like I said, the incident of homecoming, always looking good, this and that.
Yeah.
After that incident, because I had bald spot, like basically no hair, that is the
Hmm.
day, a few days later when I completely shaved my head and went bald. So after I decided to post a picture on social media, my Instagram, the date was December 16th. I remember it clearly, or it was November 16th. Um, I received such a
Yeah.
positive feedback, and I was like, I can do this. Like, I don't need to hide from something that I can't control. And after that, the first day of going to school bald was just super hard. I remember walking up the steps of my high school, like wanting to turn around and just drive home. But I could just feel,
Yeah.
so many eyes on me in the hallways, even though they knew, right? But after
Yeah, they
that
already, like,
and
knew but could
getting,
see it.
yeah, they knew, they knew. So, but then after that, I was like, I'm gonna buy so many wigs and wear whatever I want at any day because like that's amazing. I remember I wore blonde one day, brown the next day, just super long black hair, bald the next day,
Yeah.
like a week straight of different wigs because I was like, I can do that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I know that if I were in high school with you and you were coming to school with all these different hairstyles, I would be secretly jealous that you are
Yeah.
rocking that, because I think that's amazing. And like you said, like using it as an accessory and just being like, okay, today I'm going to do it this way. I think that's awesome. So, what was
Yeah, thank you.
I know you said that everybody was kind of like, oh my gosh, when you posted your photo, like, what was it like? Did you get positive feedback when you made that decision to go bald at school, or how was that for you?
Um, I received such a crazy amount of feedback on my Instagram with comments and people who are messaging me that I haven't heard from years because I went on Facebook and then I posted it in support groups like who have alopecia on Facebook, and that's what I'm saying. You need to find other people because
Yeah.
they know what you're going through. They will be there for you. But the amount of positive feedback I received was so overwhelming. And that's also what helped me have the courage to go to school.
That's awesome.
At a point, I was talking to my school advisors and I was like, I want to be homeschooled. Like, I don't want to be here because, like you said, from the age of, 8 and then to high school, girls get very nasty, so that the
Yeah.
just what you look like in society and how you feel is so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you think that will affect you like as an adult? Like, I know that you already, I think when we have our struggles internally, and then, it's so much easier to say like, well, I would be this way or I would be that way. Do you think that experiencing something like this has definitely made you like a more understanding and like caring person, because of the fact that I think from the beginning you were probably more so of an understanding person. Do you think
Yeah.
that that's affected you in that way?
Yeah, I mean, you really do truly never know what someone is going through, and especially if it's something like I said that you can't control, you have no control of any autoimmune disease, anything that's going on in your life. And especially having alopecia, like hair would be considered like the center of someone's femininity. So,
Right. It's like we deal with what is considered normal body image struggles, but having something that is different than what everyone else struggles with. Do you think that that's made you more of like an understanding and open person about your struggles?
yeah, um, I definitely do feel that way. I think that going through such a roller coaster of emotions my entire life. I mean, I used to have alopecia areata, which was just bald spots on the head, and then all the way to universalis, which is completely bald, no eyelashes, no eyebrows, no like body hair. So that's why I really try to place an emphasis on empowering others through my social media, because I want others to know that they do have someone. Like, you can always reach out to anyone. You're not alone.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So when you say that you have like so I'm trying to like understand. You said that you have a certain type of alopecia that causes you to go bald, and then you have certain types that causes you to lose all of your body hair. Does that kind of like fluctuate, throughout your life? Is that How is that for you? Is there And I'm assuming that there is no cure or no like real treatment for it, or is there?
Yeah. There isn't a cure, unfortunately, but people do receive steroid shots or steroid injections,
Okay.
which could be Kenalog or cortisone, and that is supposedly can help your hair grow. But what people don't take into consideration is the long term effects. Is it like, what else is it impacting? And I would receive steroid shots. I started getting them in high school, but once I stopped, my hair would fall out again. And basically, it was just a constant cycle of trying to fight for something that just isn't meant to be.
Right.
But in regards to the different forms of alopecia, it's so different for everyone. I mean, I know that there's endogenic alopecia, which is male baldness. Um, I never thought that it would get this bad to be completely bald, hairless,
Mhm.
but we don't have any control of it.
Right. Yeah, and so you've chosen to embrace that and not receive any more of the treatments. Is that what you were saying? The with the shots,
Yeah.
it's too much, like you said, of a cycle.
Oh yeah, it was. I At one point I got them in Texas, and they left just dents in my head, and I was like, "Why am I doing this to myself?" All
Yeah.
the emotions to come back up. Like, if I'm meant to be bald, I have a story to share, so I'm gonna share it.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing that like you are embracing that way, cuz I could imagine that the psychological effects of, like you said, the roller coaster
Yeah.
of going through the treatment, your hair coming in, and then it falling out. And so for you right now, do right now you have no hair on your head. There are no fuzzies, or did
No
you
hair.
shave that?
So
That
if you can see right here, I mean, I have still have dents, but
I
I
see that,
have
yeah.
yeah, you see it,
I
very
could see it
bad.
a little
But
bit.
I have some spots of hair, and um when it does grow, I do shave some spots because it makes me feel better going out in public and looking at myself being completely bald versus seeing a little hair.
Yeah. So do you
um
now, as an adult, do you see, because we hear about, as children getting the looks, that I'm sure that you've probably experienced that. So as an adult, and with the movement that's going on now with body positivity, and then just, being more understanding as a society, how do you ever experience anything negative now as an adult going out in public, or is it pretty much you're just treated the way that you should be?
I think that now that when I go out in public these days, I will walk out bald, and there's just so many other women and men who are like, "You're beautiful." They like
Aw.
compliment me, and then they start sharing their story because I'm bald. I'm like, "Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
yes, this is like what I want."
Yeah.
There's just so much positivity these days and empowerment. But back a few years ago, before TikTok, maybe before people could come out and express and share their stories, I would get like glares or people asking me like if I'm sick or do I have this and that, which is, um, unfortunately a part of being bald.
Yeah.
But it is definitely different these days.
That's so crazy that people just we've talked
Yeah,
about
would
that
come up. It's
before, just
our
like straight ask you what's going on. You know?
Yeah, no, they like, "Are you sick? Do you have, cancer? Do you
Yeah.
have this?" Which and then that is why I got my eyebrows and eyeliner microbladed to try to help to try to help me feel better mainly, but just
Yeah.
not look sick.
Right, to try to combat that, unwanted attention, I guess, is probably what that would
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I still would get it. It's crazy.
We do talk about, when we look differently on here and the craziness and trying to, um, just encourage people to ask proper questions and, if you're curious,
Yeah.
like, there's a way of going about talking to people who may look differently than ourselves. I know that's probably something that you've experienced. So if you could give like advice to the world wide web, like what would you say is like a proper way to approach somebody if they're curious, or would you prefer to not even be approached?
That's such a great question, and I actually have to make a video about that soon because so many other people ask me, like, "Are there things to say
Yeah,
to people with alopecia? Are there things
right.
not to say?" But to me, I love when someone is able to come up to me and ask about it because obviously I don't look like anyone else. Like we're different. So like having
Yeah,
the courage to come up and ask someone about it, but it is a matter of not saying it's about like asking the right question to you. I mean, there is no
right.
right or wrong, but saying like, do you have cancer? Are you sick? Do you
Yeah,
all those other things which are far way worse than me, but just
right.
asking like or maybe saying you like look so good bald, like could we talk about it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like, I think for me, if I was like I don't know, because like I said, I've talked to a lot of guests who, have different who look differently, and I guess it just kinda, like, blows my mind that when they tell me these stories of being out in public and people just, immediately saying, like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, "Why are you this way?" Or
Ye
"Why," like, instead of just, gently, if you're here, which, I've never really just been like, "I
yeah.
have to know what's going on with person, so I'm gonna walk up to him and ask him." But I guess if you are curious by nature, like you said, like comment on, "Oh my gosh, like you're so brave to rock a bald head. Like, how do you have the courage to do that? You look beautiful." I think approaching something like that with
Exactly.
a positive first and then giving you the opportunity to either say, "Thank
Sandwiching
you."
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, "Thank you, have a nice
Yeah,
day,"
sandwiching
or if
it.
you're yeah, if you're, like, feeling like I wanna, to give you that information, you're giving me the opportunity to say it or not say it, because there may be days where you're like, "You know what, I just don't
Yeah.
really wanna talk to anybody." So, I think, we as a society, I think we're getting better, but we definitely have a long ways to go on, like, how to, speak to people properly, and
Yeah,
that would be one.
sometimes I don't even have sometimes I don't when people come up to me, I don't even have the time to tell them what I actually have because they just come up to me, they're like, "You are so strong and brave and this and that, like, hang in there." I'm like,
Yeah.
Do you know?"
Wait a
Just
minute.
yeah. Yeah, wait, hold
Wait a
on.
minute. Like that's yeah. So like I think moral of that story is to not assume that you know someone's story. I think
Exactly.
the genuineness is probably there and they mean well. But at the same time, like, I can imagine that would be, stressful and make you feel a certain way when someone's automatically assuming that you are, quote unquote sick.
Mhm.
Because do you so with this condition, do you suffer from any other are there like any symptoms or side effects to having something like this, or is it just one of those situations where it's just loss of body hair?
It is just loss of body hair, and I mean, I used to think of it as a negative, but now I don't need to shave my legs. I don't have any arm hair. And
Right.
getting ready,
Yeah.
all my friends take such a long time. They have to do hair and makeup. I just have to put on a wig
Yeah.
and decide who I wanna be today.
Right. That's awesome. I love that you have embraced it that way because I mean, really and truly, like, I think that is just, an amazing thing that people could, take and really take back from this conversation is that embracing who you are and looking for the positives, and you have definitely done that. You've said, okay, like,
Thank you.
these are the positives, and like, we can sit back and be like, oh man, because some people pay to have those things removed, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like I don't have to I don't have to take
Like going
as
out.
long. Yeah, like
Yeah,
can
there
keep
was
off my
one
hair.
time. No, yeah. So I remember last year when I was living with a couple of my roommates, they love trying on my wigs. I'm like,
Yeah.
good for you guys. Like it's fun and all. They wanted to go out to our friend's house to whatever when we went out. They're like, I want to wear your wig. Like, so one of my roommates wore a wig with me, and it was like they don't understand how hard it is to actually wear something like that until you can try it, because they think it's all fun and all this, but it takes a lot of courage
Yeah.
to even be able to put something on and go out. So
Right.
I mean, it was fun, and she got to like take a little walk in my shoes to
Yeah.
understand, but
Yeah, I can imagine, like you said, that it's you know, that it does take a lot of empowerment to accept that this is your new normal. This is your normal. This is what your life is. And I think that
yeah,
we should have more compassion, not sympathy, but just compassion and understanding that because people do things differently and look differently, that
yeah,
it's not always a bad thing. But I definitely think what you're doing and telling people about your story and just, making light of it and talking about the fun things is an encouragement, especially to younger girls who may be struggling with similar
yeah.
situations.
Oh, absolutely. I think to me that all of what I used to go through, not having someone there with me or understanding of it, was what made me really like have a purpose in my life to want to share it and just inspire others, because the my DMs are flooded with younger girls just sharing their story and saying this and like asking me tips or how do I do this and deal with this, and being able to know that I'm helping others makes me happy.
Most definitely, because I know, like when I found you on TikTok, and I'm going through your videos, and I'm just like, you know, um, this girl's different. She looks different from me, and she is living a life that some people would feel sorry for. I guess I'm just trying to think of like what
Yeah.
other people would think as a negative thing, and then we take a step back, and then we look at our own, air quote flaws, and we're like, you know what, like if she's embracing this and she is like rocking it and like showing the world that this is who she is and she's happy and proud of
Mhm.
that, like I can do that too. And so even if you don't connect on that level with you of hair loss, we can take a look at our own things that we consider flaws and realize that they're actually beautiful. Just because they're different doesn't mean that they're not beautiful.
Exactly, exactly. I think
Ah,
there's a movement right now that
yeah.
like people are starting being able to accept your flaws, and having the courage to accept something that you can't control is what makes you not only powerful, it makes you unique
Yes.
and like special in the world. So I definitely think that it is becoming more common to embrace everything in your life and not hide from it or feel ashamed or isolate yourself at home.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to, since we're like touching on your TikTok, I did see a video that you posted recently of your cousins. They grew their hair out for you.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that? I was like, oh my gosh, that's so
Oh
awesome.
my goodness. Um 2 years of them growing their hair out. At first, it was a joke because my
Yeah,
cousin's hair was getting long, and he was like, "Wait a second, like I'm gonna make you a wig." Because I'd always say that, like my aunt has such beautiful curly hair, and turns out so did they. But
yeah,
having them grow that out for you, and a family member who will do what like to try to make you happy, because they were always there for me, like helping me feel beautiful growing up. They saw how hard it impacted me and all the negatives it came with, along with the positives. But they grew their hair out for 2 years to make a family wig with me or for me. And that is just,
Oh, I know my
I've
eyes are
never
like
had, that
watering
is so
up.
wholesome. Literally,
I
like,
know my eyes are watering. That's so kind. Like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
thank you. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm beyond excited. I'm going to be getting the wig soon, and I think why it means a lot to me is not only that it's from family, but my hair did look like that at some point before it fell out. The length, the
Aw.
curls, the color. So I feel that it will make me feel like me again. It
Yeah.
was something I don't have. Yeah.
That's so amazing. So that process is you have to send that off to a wig maker, I'm assuming, someone special that creates that for you.
Yeah, the organization I'm going through is Wigs for Kids. I have been considered a little kid there,
Yeah.
like a child they'd taken ever since I first had alopecia. The CEO, Maggie, she has helped me feel like me again in the beginning. So for her to be able to be with me through this process of my cousins making a wig for me and having her like me taking in the hair and showing her and then her taking it to where it gets made. I can't wait for me to go back to her salon and have her show me it and put it on me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that was one of the things too that I wanted to ask you. You mentioned Wigs for Kids, and that's a program that I've donated to before because I know that when I grew my hair out a few
No
years ago,
way.
that I had wanted to like cut it off because you hear about a lot of different companies that do it, and I was looking for one that actually did it for children. So I think that's amazing that you're working with
Yeah.
them to get that. So I highly recommend if
She
anybody wants
has
to do that. Yeah, Wigs for Kids.
Wigs for Kids with the letter 4. People have I make sure they know that because there is another company called Wigs for Kids, but FOR. Did I say the letter 4? I meant number 4.
Yeah,
Anyways,
number 4.
she did I do that.
It's
She
okay.
Maggie Maggie has expanded her salon. She has when I went there the last time to show her and with the process of my cousin's wig, she showed me her new salon and the building. She has a workout facility there, therapy room there,
Wow.
a garden to make sure that we are getting good food, all of this stuff that makes people feel good and support. So it's a nonprofit. She's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, if anybody is like interested in donating for a good cause, we highly recommend Wigs for Kids, and that's with the number 4. So when you're searching that, so that's awesome. Well, I do have a few
Thank
questions
you.
that I like to ask all of my guests. So, if you don't mind, we're going to jump right into
Let's
that.
do it.
If you could remember, how would you describe your ambitions as a child and what you saw yourself capable of?
My ambitions as a child.
Yes.
Okay. So regardless of going through something physical and like evolving day to day, not knowing what my hair would be like or my appearance, I I wouldn't let that impact me. I would still go out and I was a gymnast. I still competed. I would always go out and play with friends. Like there were some points where it would be hard, but my ambitions have
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they've changed through the years. I'd say they have just become more powerful.
That's that's awesome that you had that drive at a young age and you knew that, just because your life looks a little bit different than other people that you're just going to keep going forward.
Oh yeah.
I just want to say that's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Especially to like recognize that as a young child too.
A
Just
lot of it has to do with my
it's
parents.
phenomenal.
Yeah, my parents have done so
Oh,
much to try to
awesome.
make me feel important and normal.
That's amazing. Having that support system is just, it's like it's amazing. What
Yeah.
has been your stickiest struggle that has been with you through your journey?
Stickiest struggle, I would have to say not only being bullied and having it be in such a small hometown where it was hard for me to want to show myself at school, I would have to say going to school the first day bald, like shaving, not only going to school the first day bald, but watching my dad shave my head for like the very first time, because like that is both of, we never thought that would happen. Like having your father shave his
Yeah.
daughter's hair, I never thought that would happen. So watching him do that and then just actually being present and living in it and looking at yourself in the mirror, like, I am bald. Like, this is my new identity and this is who I am.
So you exude like confidence. And so your empowerment to me when I look at you is just embracing who you are as a person and using your platforms to tell other people about your story and to love themselves the way that they are. So that's kind of how I see you as an
Mhm.
empowering person. So what is that like for you? Like how would you describe when you wake up in the morning, like how am I going to be powerful today?
So, like you mentioned, confidence has a huge thing to do with it. And you're right. Some people can overlook that and say you're full of like yourself, or just, mm, let me think here.
You're good.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it's so hard for me to talk about myself, like going out, but I
Yeah, it
think
is, and I
that,
think that's one of the things that, like, we're trying to change with I here with I Empower is to help people realize that being powerful or feeling that you're powerful is not a bad thing. That's
yes, I
an
love that.
amazing thing to feel empowerment. So I'm just curious as to like, how do you see your power? What is your power?
My power is, I mean, being able to go out in public completely bald, no eyelashes, nothing on me. And I feel like that helps others know that you don't always have to look good, feel good like out in public, because I'm sure there's so many people that I don't even know, or we don't know like day to day what they're going through or what they have to hide. So I feel like me just being myself and loving myself and going out will help inspire others who need that little boost of confidence or the boost of like to see someone else different.
Absolutely. I love that. That's amazing.
I was like, I
That's so good. No,
don't.
yeah, you got it. Like you just like it just pours out of you. Power just pours out of you. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? So the best piece of advice someone's ever given you.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to think about this one. The
Yeah.
best piece of advice, oh my goodness. I mean, I follow so many people with alopecia and other autoimmune diseases. The best piece of advice would have to be, I think that, I mean, we only have one body. So you have to love yourself from the inside out to really, truly like feel fulfilled, you know? Um, so the best,
I
I
think
had to
that's
write an essay
awesome.
on this. Um, I'm sorry. I have such good,
No.
I know it's here
You're like, "I
somewhere.
know, it's, like, right there on Certified
It's
Tech."
just,
No,
it's
I think
everywhere.
what you
It's
just
everywhere.
said is phenomenal that, we have one body and we have one life that we know of. So, live each day and love ourselves unconditionally because,
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
is all we know for sure. This is the only thing that we are 100% guaranteed. So, embrace ourselves, our flaws, our the beauty and realize that those things are beautiful in their own way and
Yeah. Thank you.
fuck
Yeah.
what yeah,
See,
like fuck what society says, like I'm beautiful.
yeah,
I think that
exactly. Thank you.
yeah.
I mean,
Ah, I just have my last question, and I think this one will be an easy one for you. What is what is the best piece of advice that you would give a younger version of yourself who is in the thick of their struggle if you had just a few moments with them?
I would say that, look, I know like how you feel is so important about yourself. And right now, if you can't accept or control what is going on in your life, there are so many ways that like you can wear a wig. We are evolving, and whether we have some hair, no hair, bald spots, that it is a beautiful process. And if you just stay positive and hopeful, that soon there will be light like shining through the end of a tunnel.
Yeah, that's awesome to just like keep looking towards the future and that this is just a moment in time and like
Things
you're
will
gonna
get better.
do. Yeah, you're gonna do amazing things. And I do think that you are gonna do amazing things, Chloe. I want
Thank
to
you.
thank you. Yes, thank you so much on behalf of our team and every single person who heard your story and connected with it. I think you have a beautiful story, and I see like so many great things in your future. After this podcast, I would be heading straight to my easel and creating a painting that represents what I personally
Let's
felt and
do
saw there.
it.
Yeah, from your
Thank you so
amazing
much.
story. I'm
I
so
am so
excited to do
excited.
this. Yes. If anyone is interested in seeing the process or getting one of the few limited prints as a reminder to step into your own power, you can do so on my Instagram. And I'll also, I'm going to link Chloe's Instagram and her TikTok so you guys can give her a follow through her journey
Thank
and give her
you.
some encouragement and also find some encouragement. I know that you definitely will. So, yes,
I am
thank you so much.
power. Thank
Yes,
you
I
so
am
much for
power.
having me.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And I want to thank my guests again for being on the show and sharing their incredible story of transformation with us. I'm going to link their social medias below so that you guys can give them a follow through their journey. If you personally felt connected to the story and you would like to purchase one of the limited edition prints that goes along with it, you can do so at my website, jessicajames.com. That's JESCAJAYMES.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at I Am Power Club. And of course, like and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss next week's